Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let us introduce ourselves. We are from Group 1 with me, Muhammad Harits Izzil Islam, Muhammad Fattah, Muhammad Irfan Maulana, Muhammad Loetfi, Nurlatifa, Syifa Dwiyanti, Ulfah Maksum, Alfi Rizky Abdillah, Novia Puspasari, Rizvi Aurelia Nadia, and Achmad Raksa. In this occasion, I would like to present to you the topic for today's presentation, which is the history of language in the world. There will be a total of 9 subtopics in this presentation. They are introduction, Darwin's theory, the poo-poo theory, the bow-wow theory, the ding-dong theory, the yo-hee-ho theory, the sang-song theory, the Greek philosopher's theory, and Hidayat's theory. So the history of language is pretty vague, so vague that linguists agree that no one knows the exact origin of language. Some say that the existence of language began with humans themselves. Thus, the history of language lasts throughout human history. There is little information from researchers in the history of language who conclude that language first appeared around 3000 BC, though this conclusion is considered speculative and has no solid evidence.
Because of the origin, studies of language results are never satisfying, practical, and playful. In 1866, the French Linguistic Society once banned the origin of language discussing, because the results were never clear and waste of time. Attention and time are better focused on other studying. The results are clear and not speculative, such as medicine, biology, physics, astronomy, and so on.
However, there are several theories about the origin of language, some of which are traditional and mystical. For instance, there are those who think that language is a gift from the gods that has been passed down from generation to generation, an expression that is difficult to accept scientifically and with logical reasoning. According to Pei, at the Linguistic Congress in Turkey in 1934, there was an opinion stating that Turkish is the root of all the world languages because all the words in all languages come from genes. A Turkish word means sun, the first planet that attracts human attention and the main name. Although the truth is still being questioned by many communities, this opinion is not an exaggeration. This is because in terms of users, Turkish is used not only by Turks but also by people in the countries of the former Soviet Union, such as Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Armenia, Ukraine, and so on.
A hypothesis about language theory supported by Darwin states that language is essentially oral and occurs in an evolutionary manner. It is originated from the mouth pantomime, in which the vocal organs such as the tongue, vocal cords, larynx, nose, and so on reflexively try to imitate hand movements and make sounds. These voices are then assembled into meaningful speech. Still, according to Darwin, the equality of human language compared to animal sounds only differs in degree. This means that the difference between human language and animal voices is so slight that some people argue that animals also speak. He also said that all social animals communicate with each other, from bees and ants to whales and apes, but only humans have developed a language which is more than a set of prearranged signals.
Human language is like humans themselves. which originate from a very primitive form, originating from only the form of emotional expression. For example, feelings or irritation or disgust are expressed by blowing air out of the nose and mouth, resulting in a poo or piss sound. By Max Miller, 1823 till 1900. A German-born English philologist, this theory is called the poo-poo theory, although Miller himself doesn't agree with Darwin's opinion.
My name is Nurlatifa and I will explain about the bow wow theory. Others argue that language was originally the product of people's imaginations by seeing how certain types of animals or insects communicate. For example, beetles convey meaning to each other by emitting odors and dancing in their nests. The ant communicates with its antennae. There's also a bow wow theory which says that language appears as an imitation of sounds heard in nature, such as bird songs, animal sounds, thunder, rain, wind, river waves, oceans, and so on. So this theory is called echoic theory. So it does not evolve as the Darwinian theory flow above. According to the bow wow theory, there's a clear relationship between sound and meaning, so that language is not arbitrary. For example, in Indonesian, there are words such as booming, trembling, hissing, moaning, roaring, crowing, and so on. Another example, for example, is known by some people as bow wow because when it barks, it makes a bow wow sound. In practical terms, people name the barking beast bow wow.
Similar to the bow wow theory, there is also the ding-dong theory, or the so-called navistic theory introduced by Muller, which say that language is born naturally. This theory is the same as Socrates' opinion that language is born naturally. According to this theory, humans have a very special instinctual ability that other creatures do not have, namely the instinct to issue utterance when seeing something through their sense. The impression received by the bell is like a beating on a bell to produce an appropriate speech. For example, when primitive humans used to see wolves, they instinctively pronounced the word wolf.
So, the next theory will be delivered by me, Ulfah Maksum. There is a theory of Yo-Hey-Ho which states that the first language arises in an atmosphere of social activity where there is a rush and bodily movement, which is spontaneously followed by the emergence of language. For example, when a group of people jointly leave a wood or happy object, they will spontaneously say certain words because they are pushed by muscle movements.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me introduce myself. My name is Alfi, Rizky, Abdillah, and I want to explain about song theory, which ways that language originated from primitive sounds that had not yet been formed by social groups. Furthermore, the singing is used to convey the meaning or message and form an orderly structure, even though it is very simple. Our ancestors spoke very limited vocabulary and grammar millions of years ago. Along with the development of human civilization, the symbolic system developed until finally written language was born. Through written language, human civilization has developed so rapidly in this way. Language was formed and developed in an evolutionary manner. Okay, thank you.
My name is Novia Puspasari and I will explain about Greek philosophers' ideology in the history of language. In contrast to the primitive ideology that has been mentioned before, the ancient Greek philosophers such as Pythagoras, Plato, and the Stoics argued that language arises because of inner necessity or natural laws. It is called inner necessity because the language is essentially a manifestation or expression of the user's inner world. Just look at how someone speaks when they are angry, happy, anxious, and so on. Everything is depicted in the language spoken. Opinions that are quite reasonable and which form the basis for people's understanding in the meaning of language have until now emerged from philosophers such as Democritus, Aristotle, and the Epicureans, who said that language is the result of an agreement between the members of society. Human nature's desire is to interact with other people to fill their needs. Therefore, they need a tool of communication. But the question is, how do people negotiate or agree on something when they don't have the tools to do it? Is it just using gesture with the limbs? Unfortunately, this theory ends here.
Okay, now it's my turn to explain my material. But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Achmad Raksa and here I'm going to explain Hidayat's theory of the origin of language. So, the theory about origin of language are still, as we know, it's still folk and so diverse. It can from mythical, religious, mystical, and to somewhat scientific. If we look to Hidayat, Hidayat say that there are three theoretical perspectives regarding the origin of language that can be used as material for scientific discussion. They are theological, naturalist, and conventional. The opinion about theological in general state that that theological is ability of human language is a gift from God to distinguish himself from other creature. In Quran Al-Baqarah 31, Allah explicitly instructed Adam to name object. Adherent of this opinion that Adam's ability to name object is called not only the first linguistic event in human history, but also a social event that distinguished man from all other god creature. But also a social event that distinguished man from all other god creature. It cannot be denied that language then become very clear differentiator between human and non-human. Okay, I think that's all from us. Thank you for listening. If there are any question, do not hesitate to ask the question. And thank you for once again, thank you for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.